Pointy Star Vio, Blue, and Matt here. We're going to be giving our little ban list predictions thing here. And we're just going to try and keep it speed. We're going to keep it relevant. Instead of doing a ban list, instead of doing a pastime ban list like Konami likes to do, we tried to do a more proactive or reactive ban list saying like this is what's out there, this is what's there. We're going to make it so the game's a certain speed. I set the speed a little bit slower than the current crazy fast that we're getting from Geargiagear and stuff like that, and trying to keep other decks able to go faster and stuff. Yeah, we'll jump into it. I'm going to start off with the banned list. First banned card to slow down Geargiagear will be Birdman. Birdman is the major link combining Geargiagear and Geargiagear decks to form Geargiagear. That's pretty obvious because it's a special summonable level 3 dude that is a tuner, and it works with the other cards because it's a machine. You can search it with Geargiagear. We were thinking of limiting or semi-limiting the Geargiagear. We decided that instead of trying to completely annihilate machine decks, we would think maybe semi or not limiting it because the actual problem was the Birdman. Anything to add before we move on?
That's pretty much it.
Then we have...
we got the E-Dragons. The E-Dragons, we feel like they've been messing up other decks for too long now. We feel like they've had their fun. It's just all that they've done these past few formats is touch other decks, and then those decks get punished for the E-Dragons. They're the problem. We gotta get rid of them, not the decks that they're infecting, so to say.
Yeah, the next card, we're going to kind of go in a weird order. We're going to go now to unlimited cards, cards that were limited in some sort of way, meaning we're going to say like, you can start it off, I guess.
Yeah, for the first one we have unlimited is Tragoedia. Now, I don't even know the reason why Tragoedia was semi-limited in the first place, but I have no idea why it was semi-limited and why it can't go to 3. It would be a good boost to decks. I would like to use it to get more XYZs out or like Chaos deaths. I know that's a good card for them, and it just seems like a good idea to go to 3 because it's been on 2 for a while now.
Now, the Trag does have several effects, one of them being that little creature stealing effect, but when you think about the way that the game's kind of being pushed heavily right now, the whole monster stealing effect's not really going to be that accurate because you've got decks like Harpy, and if Harpy tries to use that monster stealing effect, they might be facing a deck like Fire Kings where they have both a level 8 and a level 4 out. Stealing a level 8's not going to help you because you won't be able to discard the level 8. You might be facing Medolces where you can have a level 3 out, or you might have level 4 out, which, yeah, you can steal level 4, but tell me when you're going to keep a level 4 out that's not, per se, Messin Gelato and Earth Warrior. That's going to help a lot. And you've got many, many, many other things that are out there that can just really not necessarily use that effect to the maximum advantage. That card is decent at 2, and I think at 3 it would be okay. I don't know if it'd be spammed because a lot of decks can't keep hand presence that well, and even Medolces tried to use the card for a while but ended up backing off of it, so I think it'd be totally fair. Another card is, this last format, lots and lots and lots of decks kind of tried to surface. They gave us back cards, and they gave us cards back to different numbers. A card that they gave us back to 2 was Lonefire, and I personally think that it could go to 3. We all kind of agreed on this because in this last format, nothing really happened with plants. They tried to do plant E-Dragon after the last format killed off the E-Dragons to just 1 each, but it was not as accurate or as effective as it was. The new Sylvan's coming out. It would be a great way to push them because they keep coming out with higher level monsters like the Guardio, the Fairy Lotus, the Hermitry, and the Great Dooku Tree guy, Sage Claw, yeah. Along with being able to use the princesses, or maybe even trying the Gigavice. Gigavice is the reason why it's gone. Gigavice can come back because it's too slow. You have to get lucky with the spell, with the way to summon it, with the ability to be able to get the secondary effects and stuff. And once it starts rolling, it does roll well. But you have to start that rolling off. And the game has really progressed to a point where I think that would not be that big of a problem. Yeah, Kale's going to say the last cards that we think should be unlimited.
So another card we think should go unlimited is Reasoning. What would be a reason for Reasoning?
Yeah, I can't really find a reason why it should still be limited. Moving on with the last one is Magic Stone. Magic Stone is a good card. It's not a bad card, and it's not great. Why is it good is it has very specific decks it can work in. Can I use this in Medolces? No. Would I ever use this in Harpies? Probably not. Am I going to use this in Sylvan or Boojin.
Mm,
Let's go minus to the hand for nothing. Okay. So there's a lot of things that this card will not work in, but there are decks like Heraldic Beast, Heraldry Reborn, and the Heraldry Advanced Heraldry Art. Heraldry Art and Heraldry Reborn are cards worth this because you can pitch the two, get the Leo effect, Advanced Heraldry Art, get the two cards that you just pitched, and XYZ summon immediately. And this card gives you a free summon of 2 monsters to the field. This is one of the few decks I think could utilize this card, and because nobody plays the deck at all, if people wanted to use this card, why not let them? Yeah. We'll move on to limited cards now. There are several decks that have really been kind of taking advantage, having cards at 3 and stuff, or cards that really we want to have back, and that is why we were going to mess with this stuff.
So the first deck that we decided that needed to get hit was Mermail, and the way we wanted to hit this deck and would like to see it hit is Abyssphere and Mermail Abyssteus to both go to 1. And the reason is Abyssphere is a good chantable trap, and you can always use it at the end phase. The NST, you can activate it, gets destroyed. Usually Abyssling goes to the graveyard. You can summon out Abyss Medlow, Abyss, whatever, 2700 dude
I'm
is.
not a fan of how stinking consistent this deck can get. The Abyssphere with Lind and stuff is just way too consistent. The effect or cost of destroying the card, instead of becoming a cost, becomes an added bonus with cards like Lind. And so, in the end, Abyssphere at 3 is like way too good. OCG Lane's been playing with it at 1 and made the deck fair. It made it a little better, and so Sphere can go away. And Abyssteus just has so much plus and positive things that it's
Level
just
7, 2400 defense, adds a Mermail or something similar to that, and then a discard 1,
it's
use
pretty
the Atlantean and destroy something.
Mhm.
And just the range 7s are really good right now.
Another deck was that Geargiagear, or Curries and stuff. We came up with another way to try and limit it, and
And the way we wanted to limit that, another way was Geargiagear at 3 right now is just really dumb because you just end phase train it and make the Geargiagear next turn, search Birdman, and then if you have everything you can just go crazy. And
it's
really,
so much positive
yeah,
and plus in this
at
deck.
1, yeah, it would be hard to get, and if you did it and it would go off, that would probably be a way of winning, but
It'd be more win
yeah.
condition. It'd be like the one Palooza, or just several cards like that in decks where you're like, with the Mermail using their one super crazy have great time card being their win condition. This would be the same exact thing for the Geargia.
And
So
if they lose it, well, just have to keep playing, but they'll be okay.
another deck was the added E-Dragons, as we were saying, were very poisonous, and the deck that they poisoned this format was Hieratic. Hieratics are a really crazy good deck. Nobody noticed, nobody played it. E-Dragons did a really good job of pointing out decks that can use them and showing that they're good. So, how we're going to hit Hieratics, because they were going crazy and topping a lot. The Hieratic Seal goes to 1 because being able to have free Rhoda of anything of any level, just getting what you need, is way too good. It goes from having to get lucky and draw those cards, just go, okay, I got these 3 cards in my hand, we'll just go boom, 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 Tefnuit, Nefthet, Esset, and stuff like that, and just go boom, and have no issues because you just special, normal with no tribute to do this, tribute this guy to do this, and you can just get so many cards, and you can start going off. And the card that you go into is the Atum, which we also have limited. It was a debate to try and get it, or to maybe put it on a ban part of it, but it's not too good to the point. We don't want to completely shut the deck down. We just want to make it so it's like an option. Just another option for the deck, along with the other deck that we should do, or other cards like Wolfbark and Rekindling, which are both cards that we're going to have limited because they should be options as opposed to spam win conditions and stuff. Wolfbark and Rekindling do stuff like, I can go off and do a bunch of stuff, and when you finally stop me, Wolfbark says, you didn't. Or Rekindling says, I've got game. You finally killed everything? No, you didn't. You lose. Fire Kings and the Fire Fist have just been doing a lot this format and will be doing so much more unless certain cards get hit in the deck. So this is our way of hitting it. The last card we want hit is the
Dragon's Ravine. It's another deck that E-Dragons kind of killed by touching, so we're going to let Dragonities have their stuff back because really what they do before E-Dragons came around.
Not much, and this will make them at least playable again. Because,
Yeah.
with the Vajrayana reprint, you know.
Yeah, without the field spell, they're a lot slower.
Yeah, basically unplayable.
The reason why I'm saying we want to get rid of the E-Dragons again is it's starting to try and creep its way into other decks. Like a deck I'm trying to play right now, Sylvans. That's trying to creep and poison the deck. And if that deck gets poisoned by it, Sylvans will go away, just like the other decks. We have proof. We've got the just E-Dragons themselves. E-Dragons playing Synchro stuff, and then like all those cards are gone. Dragunity's got touched with it. Harpies got touched, and they barely stinking. They got lucky. Other people realized other decks are better, because that would have just, all these decks would have just started losing things, and we just don't want this poison to spread anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was a really good catalyst to tell the game to speed up, but at that point in time, I wanted it to stop. Like, I just wanted to no longer go forward. We're going to go on the cards that are getting limited from being banned. So some of the cards we have are, I'm just going to go with Atum, or not Atum, Carrier, because of Atum. Carrier, Wind-Up Carrier's effect, it just got back in OCG land, and OCG plays Wind-Ups different because they have 3 Magician and the 1 Shark. But the reason why I'm saying Carrier is simply because Atum does the exact same thing for Hieratic. Yes, the effect makes its attack 0 and stuff like that, but it does not stop their effects, and it does mean you can continue your combos and plays. Carrier does the exact same thing, only his stat completely sucks. He can't be ranked up as easily as the other ones in the Gaia Dragon. He can be changed during main phase 2 into the Downard, which will do nothing for you because it's main phase 2, but it's just like, I think it'd be fair. It really would help kind of push the deck a little bit more. Some people never want to see the deck again, but I don't think it was that crazy. I think it was because of the situation. That's topic for a different day. Another card we'd like to kind of see creep back into the game would be the Demok, Dark Magician of Chaos, because although I love the card, and it's got some really cool effects, I really can't think of any deck besides Chaos that could even think of playing it. What
Besides
decks?
Spellbook?
Spellbook could try, and it could use card effects like the Temperance, or not, is it Temperance? That can special summon it from the deck.
I don't know if it wants to be specific or not.
But it's like, it's just, there are certain things that it would work okay in, but it doesn't do the most in, because there are other cards that can do different things, and being 2 tributes to get this monster out is just a little bit more of a cost.
And I think that, like, if it comes back, then people might try and play different decks, or like play them differently. So I think that would be like another creativity level. I mean, I don't know like how often you're gonna get his effect off per game, but if you're gonna try and abuse it, then go ahead and try for one format, and then if they don't want that anymore, then get rid of it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen anyway?
Last card we want to take off the ban list is Stratos, because really, heroes have not done anything. I have not, besides like maybe a few random Fusion Gate decks, I have not seen heroes do anything.
People were afraid of OTK because I just happened to get my cards that say I can go boo doo 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 doo, get 40 million cards out, doo doo doo. Okay. Think about it from this perspective. Stratos is 1 card. There's 3 Eco, 1 Rhoda if you really want 2 Rhoda, what the heck. And then, so getting him is not going to be the biggest deal. Getting him gets you the Bubble Man. Bubble Man gets you an XYZ. And if you happen to, all those cards and stuff like that, you can get yourself the polymerization card and go fuse and stuff, right? The reason why that's not super crazy broken is simply because how many tops did you see of heroes? What'd you say, like 1 down south a little bit? And
Every so often in
Saw
California.
Galactic God using his hero deck.
Every so often, like in the
On
West
Death
or
Row.
something. Well,
you just gotta remember, like, the deck, it's just because 1 card is good does not mean that the deck it's using is great. If you're gonna splash Stratos in Fire Kings, go right ahead, tell me how that works for you. But it works for heroes and makes heroes playable. Heroes is a TV show deck, and everybody loves TV show decks. And so this is just a way of kind of giving them back their card. I believe Stratos was punishment for people abusing E-Dragons. Did you hear of the abusing of E-Dragons all the other places? No. We play to win. Japan plays for fun. So their way of punishing us was take away some of the fun cards, like Stratos, Compost, Bottomwood, stuff like that, just as like a punishment saying, you're not playing for fun, we won't let you play for fun. So I just think that's why Stratos should come
and
back.
like the hero structure that got announced, and I have no idea when that'll come to the American land, but if they want to like have us like gain some hype for that, you might want to bring back Stratos. Otherwise, no one would probably play the deck anyway. So Unless that's like late in the year, then they could maybe bring it back on another ban list. But if it's right now, then that's pretty cool.
We're going to move on to semi-limited. This will be like the last little section. This is going to touch everything trying to say what should go to 2. It'll be both cards that are currently at 3 that should go to 2 or currently at 1 that should go to 2. Just kind of trying to say these cards are good but not that good, or
these cards are
too good and
Yeah.
should be a little bit slowed down. So, yeah.
So we wanted to like somehow touch Fire Fist and sort of Bujin as well, because they're pretty popular right now, especially Fire Fist. Bujin are doing well in a lot of places. So we wanted to like semi-limit Bear for sure, but Tenki we think would want to get hit instead of Bear, but Konami would probably semi-limit Bear before they hit Tenki, because if they really want to push Bujins in the next set, then they'd probably just leave Tenki at 3, and then probably either semi-limit or limit the Nets format. But Bear at 2 seems like something Konami would do. Just they want to make more money, and Bear at 2 doesn't seem like too bad of a thing anyway.
Yeah, one of the things is you got to think about what the cards do, because Tenki gets you the Beast Warrior, Bear gets you the Tenki, but also the Gorilla gets you Tenki, and you got to think about what Konami's trying to do with cards. Now, if you're thinking about the other effects of Bear and Gorilla, you could just, if they limit Bear, they can just start using Gorilla. Gorilla's effect specifies destroying by battle, and if you detach the material, or if you just, not detach, but if you destroy one of the 2 material things that are below the continuous spells or traps, you can destroy a spell or trap card. Bear says destroy 1, destroy a monster. Because of that, he's so splashable in any single deck, along with all he has to do is damage. And being able to do damage is so much easier than actually destroying a card, because there are so many ways to stop you from destroying the card, while just taking damage is so much easier. Getting the card is completely different, while Tenki itself does not need to go. Tenki does help lots of decks, and that's why I'm saying keep it at 3, because what Tenki does is it just
Helps make the decks work faster.
Right
better,
now, we
consistent.
looked it up. There are 4 revealed cards for Bujins as Beast Warriors. Does that mean that we're going to trust these 4? One can only be like special summon by banishing 2. One guy says when this guy dies using special summon. One says when he is destroyed by a battle explicitly you can summon it. And the other one's Yamato. Clearly, they're all pointing to Yamato. That is the point. That is the goal. That is the dream. So how are you going to get that? Is the Tenki. We think they're going to try and push Bujin until they get at least one more Yamato-like Beast Warrior. Once that happens, they might take away the Tenki because they'll have more cards to try and play. They do have cards like Peacock and stuff that help them get to the cards that they need, but they're just trying. I think they're going to give them a little bit more time with the Tenkis before getting rid of it. Another card we'd like to see semied is actually limited currently. We'd like to see the Dandylion because pushing plants. Plants are good. Dandylion is good. And yes, running 2 is great, but why we think this is tolerable is because it'll just return cards, just get you the tokens, get you stuff like that. It pushes Sylvans even more. It'll just make people want to play the decks. Sylvans is right now just kind of a bigger money deck right now because of the Martial Leaf and stuff. And if they get back cards like the Lonefire and the Martial Leaf, or the Dandelion and stuff, people are going to want to play the decks. And so not only is that being business strategy towards the Konami, but it's also giving back a card that per se is not the best of cards.
And any other deck that Dandelion could be played in, people else would like that too. So, that's always a good idea for them to bring back Dandelion. And then the next card we have is Gorz to 2. And I think that's worked okay in OCG. And in fact, Gorz is unlimited in OCG. So, and I don't hear anything of him wrecking face there. So, I don't know why they couldn't try it at 2 and see if he just goes crazy in here. So,
you also got to think about the requirements for him is you got to have an open field and take a direct attack.
Yeah.
The times where you're going to be able to take an open field, take a direct attack, your opponent's not going to know that you have Gorz and not be able to react to it, while also not being able to deal with the fact that there's 2 of them. Like, after you kill one, if you're leaving your field wide open and taking another huge hit to the face, you taking that Gorz is going to be stinking devastating. So I think, like he was saying, it could come back.
Yeah, and also the other, the opponent would have to play smarter knowing that Gorz is at 2, so it's oh, I get rid of one Gorz, oh wait, he might have another, I don't know.
That open field's kind of scary,
It makes people a little bit more cautious of when they do things
It makes it so you can just be like, And go. First turn, you go. Because you might have Gorz. If it's at 2, there's a higher... If it's at 3, there's like, oh my gosh, he's got Gorz. I don't know what deck he's playing. Moki. Oh. You know? Something dumb like that. So
Tier 1 Moki.
yeah. Moving on, we've got ourselves Magician of Faith. I'm saying I was kind of pushing a little bit more towards 3, but it's more logical to put it at 2, just because you gotta ease things into this game.
Yeah.
You don't want to just be like, boom, whole bandlist gone. Oh my gosh! Everyone play 3 Chaos Emperor Dragon, 3 Cyberjar, 3 Fiberjar, all these cards just because they were banned, and then they'll realize they suck, and then other cards, or that they're amazing. And this Magician of Faith coming back to 2 would just be a great way of saying, try it, you know? You tried it at 1, Spellbook's like, ooh, Magician of Faith. Oh, Magician of Faith. You know, it just...
I don't want to set it.
I'll normal summon Magician of Faith because it's Spellcaster, and now I can use my cards. I know I wasted her effect, and I could have summoned something else.
Yeah, it's just too slow.
There are lots of flip effect monsters that are good. Like maybe the Magical Merchant's good for certain decks and stuff. Just Kira, Raiko, and stuff. These are they're kind of helping with the flip effects being good and stuff. But you got to think about the fact that their effects are different. As they're getting cards or destroying cards, she is retrieving a card from your graveyard and putting it into your hand that you won't be able to use if she's attacked into until the next turn. In which, yeah, I can get back my 1 Dark Hole, the only stinking spell card that's staple left besides Book of Moon. It's just... Yeah.
And so, like, the next card we have is Thunderkin at 2. It needs to happen. At 1, he's just not that good. You have to normal summon it. That's a waste of a normal summon. A waste, because some people think like he's really good. He's a good normal summon for sure, but it's like you normal summon him, but you can't do anything else unless you want a special summon. And add-in cards is really good in the game right now, and I have no idea what'll happen next format with like what decks will be good or whatnot. But I know like with all this Primal Origin support, Thunderkin would probably be good to stop it, but unless Konami doesn't want to do that to promote it. But I think he needs Dota 2 to at least be viable.
You gotta be.
For like anti-meta decks. I mean,
think through things.
Like, if they get rid of Thunderkin once, and it's like, oh no, I can't use that anymore unless I somehow get him back with Call on it or something.
Call on him, best card ever. Oh wait, now I can't add. The adding thing hurts yourself as well as your opponent. It's like big enough cost. Not all decks are just gonna be like, I'm playing with Dolce. Let's run 2 Thunder King row because it's not like I ever add to my hand, you know. Yeah. So you got to think about like. This card will help certain decks fight certain decks. So,
and if Summerbunk, discard that hysteric sign. Get out Thunder King. Wait
a second. And like,
wait.
If they don't want to do it this format, which may seem likely because the next decks they're trying to support are gonna add a lot, but hopefully like soon they'll come back to 2 at least.
Speaking of the Book of Moon. I think we wanted to put that at 2. We wanted to try it. It's not like it's a crazy good card. We've tried it with other cards. Certain cards have come back. OCG Lane's been having a fun time with so many cards right now. And they're thinking 3 Torrential Tributes are just, they're going to be like, whoopie-doo! Torrential Tribute, everything wonderful! And then you got to think about the fact they keep getting back cards like this that were like at one point so broken that they had to limit. Mirror Force, we've got it at 2, they have it at 3 and stuff. It's like, cards like this are not as revolutionary as we thought. They do play for fun while we play to win, but it's more like Book of Moon would also help pushing the Ghost Tricks. They're getting their doll, they're getting their Succubus, or whatever, S-Lady, Sexy Lady, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, and like the Book of Moon will help push this deck. People might play it at 2. I probably would try it at 2 in some decks, but it will not work at 2 in all decks. Some decks, you can't use it at 2, let's say Prophecy, because half the cards are like, if you don't use certain cards that are not, if you use certain cards that are not spellbook, you cry. If you don't have spellcasters, you cry. And so, the card could be good. It'd help fight the Thunder King that's now at 2. It would help do other stuff and make it so you could use that, Magician of Faith that's now going to be at 2. Book her, flip her down, flip her up, get it back, use it, just dumb stuff like that. Great combos.
Okay.
But yeah.
So speaking of like new support, so Gladiator Beasts have confirmed 1 new card, and he's alright for the deck. It's not like revolution or anything, but if they really want to push Gladiator Beasts and get a little more money from players that want to invest, then Bestiari should go to 2. I mean,
So
At
stupid.
least.
yeah, it would have been great this format. It would have been able to
That
fight the
deck,
back
it would
row.
have that deck would have been able to fight in this format.
So some
and
people say like Gladiator Beast Guys ours is too good, pop in like 2 cards, and like you'd obviously see that more with Bestiari too, but
Except we haven't had them for like 3 years now, so
Yeah.
how
So
do
you
we
gotta-
know?
You also got to
Yeah.
think of the fact that this deck is different because it has to be able to declare its attack and not die.
yeah,
Mhm.
they're
like- Yeah.
putting all their then on that normal summon. If that doesn't go off, then
It's
you're in a really bad position.
Yeah.
I summon my Liquari dude. Warning.
Oh no.
Scoop
Well,
GG.
End my turn.
You know?
And then like so many things like you have to attack, and then there's so many cards that like stop attacks, and then
Yeah.
they're really,
High chain.
so
Mirror force. Deprison. Call the haunted.
Compulse.
yeah.
Compulse.
If you just get a Bestiari, then you can start fighting the back row. So that's
Yeah.
always a good thing. So,
So,
moving
yeah.
on.
We've
Next
got,
up, we got Hornet. I mean, I know what you're thinking. Inzectors,
no.
they went crazy that one time, but
You're thinking-
really, look at the Inzektor's effects. They say, once per turn, bring Inzektor from your hand or graveyard and equip it. It's not going to matter if you have 2 Hornets in the graveyard because
you can only
they
equip
can
one.
only
Yeah.
equip 1 per turn. So what's the point? I
Get
mean,
in
another
one, yeah.
another Dart monster in the grave or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so like did another Hornet would like add the consistency
Yeah.
to the deck. I know some people say that Dragonfly did too, but that just sounds little.
Dragonfly
Intimidating.
actually special summons
Yeah.
stuff. I mean,
Dragonfly
yeah.
actually gets more.
That might
Dragonfly
be a bit
versus
That's a little
Hornet.
bit more scary than Hornet to do.
Hornet's
I mean,
just a pop for 1 monster per turn,
Yeah, he's
so
good
another
for-
one would make a difference.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you can just be like, I affect Veiler, unaffect Veiler. I can use this effect a second time. You can't do that. Dragonfly says, okay, Dragonfly pop, Dragonfly pop, the Centipede pop again.
Aw.
Then use different cards.
I
And,
don't know.
sorry about that. We got the next card on our semi-limited is Granmole because we don't think that it'd do much if it came back at 2. Granmole does stuff like it just gets rid of an XYZ summon, which is why they got rid of it in the first place and stuff. It's like it gets rid of big monsters, and you spend some time getting out a big monster, and they didn't really like the fact that you could just get rid of it. But I think the game's moved to such a fast pace that your first normal summon is like the pinnacle of all of your other summons, and it's the catalyst for action. And if that first card is wasted on something like Granmole, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah, next card's for 6 Samurais.
Yeah, the Synchro Shi En. Samurais haven't really done anything these past few formats. They've had like the main reason everyone stopped playing it was because they got rid of Gateway. I mean, everyone probably doesn't like Shi En either because like stop a spell or trap, okay, but he's still an easy monster to get rid of. I mean, for one thing, you can bluff it. Say you got like Book of Moon and Dark Hole. I mean, either way, you're gonna stop them then. And it's just once you get rid of that one Shi En, they're kind of out of big monsters right there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just Fairy King and stuff. Okay.
Fairy King, Gem Knight.
It just
Pearl, they-
shuts down decks
yeah.
like this. So, next card we want is Gold Sark to 2. We think E-Dragon is what made it overpowered. It was never overpowered, never overbearing. Even if you're using like Exodia, okay, I use 3. 3 of my pieces are banished there. Ha, you got 2 turns till I get 3 of my pieces. A lot of the
Levy.
decks can make that up. And Levier helps kind of
Levy.
speed that up a little bit.
Steal the Exodia piece.
Yeah, it's mine now.
It's mine.
I make Downward Magician. Ha ha ha. It's just not the best of cards, and I don't think that it needs to be banned. All it really did was it kind of would push more towards faster plays or free searching off of E-Dragons, which is why it was
Just the
played.
power card of your deck.
Yeah,
If you want to use the card at all.
it's like with the Rekindling. If we limit Rekindling, this card gets you the Rekindling. In a couple turns, I'll have that. You gotta try and... It's like, you have 2 turns to beat me. Let's see what you do. And a lot of times, you can do it because these kind of decks have to run it certain ways. Infirmities have to run it a certain way so they don't have cards on their hand. They won't be able to stop you. They ban or banish their card for a couple turns, you know? Use other decks like Wind-Ups. Okay, I banished my Magician. I can get her back in a couple turns or get lucky and get it back sooner. Well, that gives your opponent some time to fight your back row, which is surprisingly easy to do with some of the cards out, and just do some lots and lots of stuff like that. The last thing we're going to talk about, there's this great thing out there called hoe bending, Well, what it does is where you take 3 Upstart, 3 Reckless Greed. Sometimes you might do the cards, but that's not as mainstream. And you just kind of spam them all. We think that the Upstarts and the Recklesses should be semi-limited. Not because they're thinking the most broken cards ever, and they should not be limited because they're not the most broken cards ever. But semi-limiting would say it's not that important. Upstart, you draw a card, your opponent gains 1,000 life points. A lot of decks that can control stuff or keep things controlled or just OTK and stuff are the decks that can use that to its maximum advantage. Just like the card,
Reckless Greed.
Reckless Greed can do stuff like draw 2 and stuff like that, which is really, really good, but it has so many situations where it will not be the most beneficial because what are you going to do with that extra 2 cards? I mean, yeah, I don't get a draw for 2 turns. Just stuff like that. They do stack, but they won't stack the right way. And if you have 2, who's going to play 2? I mean, maybe decks that are just teching the card, but going Reckless Greed and you draw 2, one of the cards you drew is Reckless Greed. Oh, great. That means I missed 3 or 4 of my draw phases, you know? And now I'm wonderful. Whoopie-doo. It's just the cards at 3, it's not like they're overbearing. It's just telling people, be creative. Don't just run 6 cards that say, I'm not actually running this many cards.
Top just because they're following the crowd.
I mean, the evil... Just go to Underworld 6667. Check out his channel. He did a bunch of deck profile videos of guys who just topped. And there's an Evil Swarm, Infernity, all these decks. Yeah. And what did they do? 3 Upstart, 3 Reckless Greed, Exoton Knight, Shark Knight. That's what set them into the top tables. They had all these cards. And it's really taken away from creativity in the game. So those cards need to go away. Some people are saying Shark Knight, Extinction Knight to banned or limited or semi. Personally, they're too new to hit. I'm not a big fan of them myself because I can't get my hands on them because I'm not a millionaire. But does that mean that the card should get banned because I can't afford it and that guy can? Whose fault is it that the price is that expensive? Not Konami's. They just printed it fancy. They made it look shiny. It's my I'm the one who said, this shiny piece of paper's worth $70. Buy it. After making a fool of myself. That'll be the end of our Banlist video.
Everything is awesome. Everything